Hi, Linda. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am excellent. I'm excellent. Thank you so much. We've had a full day of speakers and panelists, and we've got a couple of more speakers. Well, you and one more person, and we've had some great insights. And today we are lucky to have you in to speak about the world of finance and the resilience around that. Linda, I'm going to do a quick introduction to yourself, and then I would be keen to invite you to talk a little bit more about yourself as well. So we've got Linda Grizley. Linda's expertise is in financial psychology and money mindset transformation, providing actionable insights for entrepreneurs as well as for individuals. Linda, I know that was a very a short summary about yourself, but it's not doing any justice. So let me give it back to you to describe yourself and your journey as to how you've come about doing what you do until now. Go for it.
Certainly, certainly. So thanks for that. So I'm a financial planner, but I'm also a money mindset mentor. So today we're going to talk mostly about money mindset, right? And the reason I got into coaching or mentoring people with their money mindsets was because of things that I saw in my financial planning career, where I would see clients that just, had these inner beliefs that they just couldn't get past. And that led me to think about my own story with my own money mindset and how I had changed it over the years. And I really wanted to create a space where I could help others in empowering themselves through a transformation in money mindset so that they could have a more abundant mindset and positive outlook on their finances.
Mm. Amazing. This is such an important topic these days, especially how things are what things are happening in the in the world now and how people are navigating through that, both as an individual, but also even in the business as well. So let's talk about money mindset here and transforming money mindsets. Share with us some of the most common internal obstacles, financial obstacles that individuals and entrepreneurs or business leaders face. How can they reframe their money mindset so that they can lead to better financial, well, decision making, but also prosperity and so forth?
Yeah. So one of the most common internal financial obstacles, both in individuals and business owners, is the scarcity mindset, right? And that's characterized by a fear of lack. Like you feel like you're never going to be financially secure, or you don't have enough. And it
Mm.
leads to behaviors like maybe hoarding money or avoiding risks or being overly frugal, even when it's not beneficial to you or your business. So an example for an individual might be something like their choice of investments. So they person might be hesitant to invest in the stock market because they're just afraid of losing money. They might perceive the market as a whole as volatile and unpredictable, and lead them to not even investing altogether, or just stick with low term, low return assets, right? And then a business owner, a scarcity mindset might show up as fear of failure or financial insecurity. So they might hesitate during the startup phase, when that first 3 years or however long it takes to get going, they might hesitate and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I might have made a mistake because I'm have fear because I'm not bringing in the money that I need to bring in and I'm feel insecure. Or even like if it's an existing business, if there's a downturn, like they might come up with the perceived stability of a traditional job looking much better than having their own business, because they might think that's going to give them more comfort, but that job might not align with their passions and their goals like their own business does. So it can be a conflict there when they have that scarcity mindset.
Mm.
And there's a Chinese proverb that says the temptation to quit will be greatest just before you're about to succeed. And I like that, but there's people will say, well, there's no really way to know that you were actually going to exceed if you quit, because you'll never know. But
Yeah.
the idea behind it is that it's a positive mindset. So reframing your mindset to one of abundance and confidence helps you see opportunity for growth and fulfillment, and you'll be more willing to take some calculated risks right?
Mm,
Not too much risk, but calculated risks, and invest in yourself and your business.
mm,
And by doing that, you'll be able to pursue opportunities for innovation and growth that can lead to financial success in the long term when you're not just focused on like today.
yeah. And Linda, I'm gonna have some follow-on questions on how you describe it. And I like the way you talked about the scarcity mindset, and I personally am familiar with it. I do have some follow-on questions on that one, but let's just delve into something a little bit more practical here. So share with us some practical strategies that an individual in their personal life can undertake, but also how entrepreneurs, whether they're business leaders or as a business, what can they do to implement to overcome their financial barriers, and how can they cultivate that mindset? Again, mindset is a big word, but how can they do that?
Right. So three things there's more than three, but I'll stick with the top three.
Yeah.
I think
Go
that's
with the
what you
top
asked
three and
for.
then we can delve into it. Yeah.
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 So it would be one would be around that scarcity mindset. So shifting from fear to confidence, right? So because the scarcity mindset leads to that fear-based decision making, you're not going to take advantage of many opportunities, right? So reframing your mindset from abundance and confident or to abundance and confidence, right, will make you more likely to pursue more opportunities and lead to more financial growth.
Yeah.
The second one would be I also touched on this briefly in the other question was focusing on long-term goals. So by focusing on what your long-term goal is and having a positive mindset, it encourages you to do that because you're thinking well into the future. You're not thinking about right now and immediate gratification. So that shift in perspective helps you make decisions that align with an overall objective rather than like what I'm doing right now at this very moment. Um, and then the third one would be embracing learning and growth. So having a growth oriented mindset and opening up your mind to new ideas and learning, but also seeing any failures or bumps in the road along the way as opportunities for growth and learning, being resilient, have growth and learn from those setbacks and then reframe those failures to be valuable experiences for you. They're stepping stones for you, even though you feel like you might have gone backwards. It's still really a stepping stone because you've learned so much. And
Mm.
that will take you to new strategies that can lead to more financial success.
Yeah. Amazing. And I like the way you've articulated that. Let me give a scenario, Linda. I mean, when you look at businesses, if they're established businesses, you're working within the realm of um, company that has got certain types of budgets and, they've got their visions and they've got their financials and all of that sorted out. So you might be protected within that area, within established businesses. Entrepreneurs, probably a different case because they're also seeking for funding and they're seeking for growth and so forth. But, they've got a business and it's under a limited company and so forth. Then you've got individuals just like you and me. We've got families and so forth. And despite having this type of a mindset where, yes, I recognize that I need to have an abundance mindset. I am putting a lot of effort into it, but nothing is really happening. Yeah, it's nothing is really happening. And you're running out of runway here. And now your scarcity pieces now start coming into play, and then it's testing your resilience and so forth. If I was that type of an individual, and I've literally had a conversation with somebody yesterday who's really progressive minded, they say the right things. How can you shift? And this is a very difficult question, but just keen to hear your views. How can you shift people's mindset in that type of a situation where people have run out of fuel? When I talk about fuel, I'm talking about money itself. They don't have runway to go anything further. Um, Share with us whatever you can. Have you come across people like that? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I think that, I mean, hopefully they'll talk to somebody before they've come to the end of their rope, the end of their financial rope, so to speak, right? Hopefully they'll be talking to somebody before that, whether that be a coach, a therapist, a financial planner, whoever it may be. There are resources out there to find out, how you can better that. But I think the main thing is in working with money mindset is uncovering your internal beliefs, right? And then what's holding you back and figuring out maybe behaviors, why you are spending the way you're spending or why you're not spending the way you're not spending. Are there triggers for that? Are there other things that you can be doing? What is it that you're not seeing? You just need to get out of your own way, and you need someone to help coach you through figuring out what that is, what that obstacle is that you're putting in your own way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the correct response. And it's in alignment with some of the responses that I've given myself to some of the individuals. And you're right, there are, resources available. And hopefully that doesn't come to that stage. But the money, the mindset and the transformation around that is very, very critical. Let's talk about the psychological aspects of this. So psychological principles influencing financial behaviors. What are some of the techniques that you use to, in your mentoring programs, for example, to help either individuals or businesses? How can you get them to develop a healthier relationship with money? Because that's a critical piece, right? Getting a healthier relationship with money.
It is, yeah. So first, I want to clarify that I am a mentor and a coach and not a psychologist. So um, my program, though, that I do is based on assessments that were created by psychologists from over 40 years of research. So I buy these assessments from another company. And I have an 8-week program that I created around these seven distinct assessments that I use. And I take people through a live virtual mentorship. It's a group program session where we just dig deep into their minds. They do the assessments and then we talk about them, and we uncover the obstacles and underlying reasons that are shaping their mindset regarding money. So we talk about their life stories. We talk about their first experiences with money, who they lived with, whether it was their parents or whoever, what they saw them doing with money. And it's really incredible how many times, like, it goes so far back in time, and then people see the relationship to money that they have now and how it relates back to that.
Yeah.
So that's how we get started. And as far as like the principles that influence behaviors, there are so many different things, like a broad variety of things. But one of the common things that people talk about is like biases, right? So, and I think this comes into play in businesses a lot, right? So like cognitive biases are patterns of deviation from rationality and judgment, and they influence how, when we have them, they influence how we perceive and process information. So people will create their own subjective reality from their perceptions, and that can lead to like suboptimal decisions. So an example might be like confirmation bias. So that's where we're seeking out information that confirms our existing belief about something, and ignoring anything that contradicts it. So if you believe that the market is volatile, and it's that you're just going to lose money in it, you're going to look for things that confirm that belief, right? Whereas, and you're going to ignore everything that says, like, long-term investing in the market is overall generally a success, right? And then there's also on the opposite end of that, or maybe not opposite, but kind of on the other side, is like an overconfidence belief where people overestimate their ability. So this might be someone in a business who thinks, I don't need help from a financial planner. I don't need help from a coach, a business coach, right? And this can manifest in behaviors as like taking on too much risk or
Mm.
too much debt or overestimating their future incomes or returns, because they're just overconfident in themselves.
Mm.
So I like to say, it's important to have the right people on your team and figure out who those people are that are on your team to make sure that you're not just getting in your own way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an important aspect, and I can share my personal experience on that one because you just reminded me of somebody who told me the same thing. I mean, they said, Stephen, you're very much overconfident in what you're doing and you're just taking too many risks, which is leading you to, you know, chewing more than you can, or taking in more than you can actually chew, and therefore you're falling fast. You are getting up, but you're falling fast, you know. So I can recognize that, and it does get you into trouble. And I can say that very openly here. It has gotten me into trouble, and that's not a very good place to be. But again, I'm curious here, Linda. Share with us some stories where there's been some good success from how you've implemented this and it's turned either an entrepreneur business or even an individual's their status of where they were and where they are at now. Is there something that you can share with?
Sure. So the story that comes to mind is I had a client who was the daughter in a family owned business, right? So her father owned the business and ran the business, and he was going to be passing it down to her. But he had grown up during like tough economic times and he had actually dabbled in the stock market a little bit once, but sold everything when his investments went down. And then he never got back in. So he actually lost money and like locked in the fact that he lost money because he never got back in. And he continued to be cautious like that with money as a business owner. So not taking a lot of risks, not putting a whole lot, putting money back into the business, but not putting a whole lot back into it, just kind of keeping the status quo. So my client knew that she was going to be the succession plan for this business. And she was actually going to college to get a business degree at the time that I was working with her. And that's where she had her first aha moment about her father's reluctance to take risks in a business. Because here she was learning about business and getting a degree in business, but he had just been a business owner and had been successful at his business, but had never learned about business. So she reached out to me, seeking to deepen her own understanding of money mindset because she was seeing this disconnect there. And so when I started working with her, we worked on her personal money mindset, which she had inherited some of that from her father, right? So we talked through that. But then she was able to go into the business and bring a new mindset to it. And it is not easy, I will say, when you have someone younger coming into someone older who's ran a business the same way for a long time. It's not easy for them to start making changes, but she was able to start making small changes in the beginning. And then he was able to see that those changes were good changes and that there was progression. And they started taking on more opportunity and growth instead of maintaining the status quo.
Mm.
And it's not a long time ago story, so I don't know how it ends. But it seems to be going well so far. So I think that one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that everybody has their own money mindset.
Mm.
So the daughter has one, the dad has one, I have one, and I try not to, put mine on anybody else,
Yeah.
right? And you should try not to put yours on anybody else either, right? And so I think that when station with the person who said that you were overconfident and you were taking too many risks, remember that that person has their own money mindset. So to them, too many risks might be smaller risks,
Yeah.
right? Than somebody else who might be like, too many risks is like, going to Las Vegas and betting it all. So everybody has perspective. So take what people tell you and learn from it. Listen with an open mind and an open heart, but don't take it to be like the be all end all advice, because they're putting their own personal beliefs and biases into the advice that they're giving you.
Yeah. Linda, that's very good advice. And that's true. Everyone has got their own perception and their way of thinking and their own money mindset. So be yourself and listen. And I'm just replaying what you've basically said and make your own objective decisions around that. Share with us limits of money mindset training. There's money mindset, it's crucial. We've learned the benefits of that. Um, do you think that that alone would address all the financial challenges that somebody might be having either within themselves or within their business? Or is there something more that people need to do? And you've probably touched on some of these elements, but I'm just trying to get a sense as to. if there are any limits to money mindset training.
Yeah, so there are. So money mindset is just one piece of your overall well-being and even overall financial health, like financial health, financial well-being, or your whole well-being. Money mindset is just a small piece of that. Mindset as a whole in your whole entire life is a piece of it also, but I niche down very, very specifically to money mindset. But there's also like the structural finance, like the details, like the numbers, right? And that's super important too. Like I said, I'm also a financial planner and I deal with the numbers on that end. So it's not an either or, it's finding a balance, right? Finding that harmony in all of the pieces so that they can all come together and be interconnected for holistic and sustainable success overall.
Mm. That's amazing. And Linda, do you primarily look at businesses, or do you look at businesses and individuals when it comes to money mindset and financial planning?
So I primarily work with individuals, families, not businesses, but a lot of them do own businesses. So it goes into the business as far as that
Absolutely. It's kind of
goes,
integrated
right?
in a way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the work that I do in my course is, it's so unique to every single person that they're going to take out of it what works for them, the little tidbits that they can take with them and apply into their life and apply into their mindset are going to be different than everybody else's. So it's a unique journey for everyone.
I understand. Linda, do you have any summarized sort of strategies that you want to share before we come to a conclusion?
Sure, I would say the first thing that anybody wants to do who wants to start changing their mindset is to start recognizing behaviors and recognizing patterns and just opening up their mind to learning about themselves. And I think that once you set out on a growth journey, if you've never done it before, you probably don't know this, but if you've done it before, you know what I'm talking about. But once you set out on a growth journey and you start opening your mind, it's amazing the growth that can happen in a short period of time just by being open to receiving information and learning about yourself and watching your habits, right? So that would be the first step in making any sort of transformational change.
Yeah, amazing. And Linda, how can the audience engage with you to learn more about
So
what you
I
do and take advantage of what you do?
Yeah, so they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Linda Dash Grizley, Grizely. They can find me there. And then they can also find my website, mindsetandmoney.com. And if you put a /summit, there's a special offer in there. There's a download to 14 Habits of Successful People and a download at the bottom for a quick money mindset quiz, and then also an offer on my cohort course that I offer.
Excellent. All right. Linda, we've come to a close on this very important topic. I think this is really critical for individuals, for businesses. Just about how you organize your mind around money and the relationship with money and looking at it from a future perspective. We appreciate you for being here today. Thank you, Linda. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, wonderful.